Hi, good evening, and welcome to Thfc Till I Die. Just take Philip out there for a minute. Good evening, and welcome to THFC Till I Die, the home of Tottenham past to present. And tonight we are doing a transfer window debate show with myself, Queen Ellie, Mia, and the Godfather himself, Philip Brady. We're getting a bit of feedback, guys. I don't know who from. Mia's gone. We're getting a bit of feedback, Ellie. Is it from you?
I don't think so. Do you hear any feedback now?
I do. It's coming from you, Philip. Do you want to log out and log back in again?
He sounds like a Dalek.
Do you want to log back out and log back in again, Philip?
Yeah, hold on.
Right, I'll take Philip out there for a minute. Listen, sorry for the bit of chaotic start. Anyway,
All right.
good evening. Good evening and welcome to THFC Till I Die. Of course, your home. And of course, tonight we're talking about the transfer window. Who goes? Who stays? Who do we want to come in? And who do we want to go? So that is all. We've got questions in the banners. We've got people in the chat already. And in there, we've got Elias. Good evening, Elias. We've got Mick Harmlock. Big up, Mick. How you doing? And Mick is saying good evening, Ellie. Good evening. And joining me tonight when Philip does come back, we have got the Godfather, but also got the two jewels in the THFC crown. We have one Queen Ellie Hoybier, and of course the other jewel in our crown. Of course, it is Mia. Girls, how are you this evening? I'll start with you, Ellie. Ellie, how are you this evening? You're still in your girl? Are you like me in the Gil Missy bubble from yesterday?
Yeah, I'm still in the Gil Messy bubble, and I'm still doing my hair like this, saying Gil Messy.
And good evening, Mia, to you as well. Welcome. And how are you this evening? And I bet you're ecstatic after our 4-0 away win to Crystal Palace last night.
Absolutely. And also shout out to Sar, because I thought although it wasn't a very long cameo, I thought he did very well when he come on. I have to say, I'm really impressed by him.
Brilliant.
No, Sar did very well last night, but I'm sorry. I'm a Gil Messi lover. Look, I am sorry. I'm saying it. I've been in the bubble all day. I've been bouncing people, walking through people. Why are you walking through me, Dermot? I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm in my Gil Messi bottle. Just get out of my way. I am going through you. Because there is a song out now. It's Gil Messi will tear you apart. He really will tear you apart. Anyway, we've got a few more people in the chat. We've got Bob Belcher, big up Rob. It says, big up Dermot, Ellie, Mia, and Philip. A healthy 2023 for all. Yeah, exactly.
I love the Jimmy Greaves as well.
I'm good, thanks, Dermot, Ellie, and Philip. How are you all? Yeah, we're all absolutely fantastic. Where's that noise coming from?
Oh, sorry, it's my dog. It's the dog drinking water, and he drinks it very, very loudly. Ozzy's deciding that he wants to go and have a drink.
Yeah, anyway, we'll get... And also, this show has always been sponsored by Nick Coupland. Nick, I hope you're doing well, sir. Thank you for everything you do for the channel. Thank you everything you do for us. And please get in the chat and get your thoughts in on last night and on today as well, because it's going to be an interesting debate on this transfer window. It's a very touchy subject, and we've all got different opinions on this. So we will get cracking. Ellie, look, before we get cracking into the show, Ellie, what do you see as a successful window for you before we start getting into the nuts and bolts of it?
Well, my version of it is to get a centre back plus a right wing back and a cam. Somebody who can put their foot on the ball and control the midfield in terms of really taking grip of the midfield and doing those killer passes and linking up well with all the rest of the team and Kulu when he comes back. I just want to see that, because that'll create a lot more excitement from the middle, you know.
And Mia, look, I'm doing a poll and the chat at the moment within the chat here in the show tonight, and the question I asked was, how many players will we buy this window? And I've put no one, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and at the moment it's 29% for 0 to 1, 71% for 1 to 2, and of course nothing for 2 to 3 or no one. How many people do you think we would buy this window, Ellie, and what would you be happy with?
I would be happy with 3, but I'll settle for 1. And the reason why I will settle for 1, because we're notoriously bad in the transfer window. We've only just perked up this season, but even so, we didn't fill the positions that we should have. So I'm looking for 1. The one I would choose, actually, it wouldn't be the cam, it'd be the centre back, because that centre back position has leaked a lot of goals this season with one Mr. Eric Dyer that's made a lot of gaffes, and he's made the other defenders look bad as well because of he's not quick enough. He doesn't react quick enough. No. That centre back position. Come on, Levy. Philip.
I just want to welcome forward, bring Philip into this. Big up, Zoe. Big up. Great to see you in the chat. And we also got the bottom dudes. A big up, the dudes. Great to see you in. And we also got United Spurs of America. He says, big up, THFC. Big 3 points. Big up, sir. And we've got Rob Belcher here with the chat. He says, I hope Gil Messi doesn't get a haircut. He'll lose 50% of his body weight. Look, for me, he is the 5th member of the Beatles. He reminds me a bit like a George Harrison or a Paul McCartney. He's ready there to rock and roll. And apparently he's a very good singer as well. So it goes. So he's a man of many talents. But big up everyone. And while you're there, if you want to get your channel memberships, it does help the channel grow. And also get a super chat if you want to get your questions into the panel and get us debating on them. Philip, we'll start with you in this first one. It said talks today that Tottenham Hotspur in talks for a double transfer swoop involving Sporting duo Pedro Porro and Marcus Edwards. Do you think that's a good start for us? I think it's around 92 million euro, I think, is a combined total.
Yeah, but we get a 30-50% discount on Edwards.
Yeah, but apparently, Philip, they're not going to invoke that until he moves on again.
That seems rather strange. Are we flush with money all of a sudden?
Yeah, well, that's what they want to do. Do you think it's a good deal that for Pereiro and Marcus Edwards, considering we let Edwards go there in the first place?
I'm like, all we can base Edwards on is the 2 performances against us in the Champions League, and he was very good. But then again, how much of that was him trying to show Spurs why we shouldn't let him go? So I would, of the 2 of them, I think Porro can do a better job for us, because I'm kind of struggling to think where Edwards fits into the situation, into the system. Okay, I know we need a creative midfielder, and possibly Conte will work around him, but I think a defender is what we need more at the moment. And I'm amazed at what you say about not picking up on the 50% reduction. That is just, it's Daniel Levy been watching Scrooge or something. He's turned into Ebenezer at the end of the film rather than the start of it.
I'll go to me. Yeah. So Philip, so what would you do? Would you pick one, or would you be happy with both coming in the door?
Well, the thing, like Sporty might do a deal where they might give us a discount for the 2 of them, leaving in the 50% sell-on fee. So, I suppose, beggars can't be choosers when it comes to midfielders. There's not that many good ones around at that type of money. But then again, I see we're supposed to be interested in Frank Kessie.
Yeah.
And he can do the job as well. So I think if I was to take a pick, I would go for Porro and Kessie and leave Edwards. But, I could be wrong.
Yeah, you could be. Mia, would you be happy with 1 or just the 2? Would you be happy just with Porro, because we desperately need a right wing back? Marcus Edwards, we're sort of okay in midfield, but it's the right wing back, Mia, where we desperately need upgrading, isn't it? You there, Mia? No, I'll go to you, Ellie.
I think.
Sorry, you there, Mia?
When I looked it up, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can, yeah. Oh, Mia's gone. Right, Ellie?
Yeah.
I don't know if Ellie fell asleep there because she was
on cue. No, I was just looking at my phone about Pedro Porro. A lot of people making comments.
Yeah. What would you be happy with 1 or 2?
Do you know what? I like Marcus Edwards. I would actually take him because he was a Spurs boy who came from our academy. He was a bit of a naughty boy early doors, right? And we shipped him off to Norwich on loan to see how he's going to fare there. And he was a bit naughty there. That's what the reports were in terms of, being disciplined and turning up for training on time and things like that. There's always bad reports about him. Whether they're true or not, you don't know, because sometimes the press get on the player's back. But what I would say is he would be a definite asset. I like little players as well. I actually love. Look at all the little players we've had in our recent times. We've had Ozzy Ardiles, Modric. Those two alone is enough, right? And then you've got Van der Vaart. He wasn't that tall. And then you've got Ginola, who's not that tall. You know, they're all like smallish players. And then you've got Gil Messi, who's coming to fruition now. And I hear a lot of negativity about him, but Marcus Edwards and Porro, the double act, I would take them both, but I would also want a centre back. That is vital.
Yeah. Mia, would you take them too? I mean, Paddy Hahn, it says here, we don't need Marcus Edwards. That would be a disappointing signing. I mean, I sort of have to agree with Paddy here. I would be, for me, it'd be a disappointing signing Marcus Edwards. Mia, would you be happy with one or two?
I think we need Porro more than we need Edwards, but I think I read it was reported it was only 70 million euros. It was the buyout clause when I looked, but obviously it's by the by. But I think that we don't need Marcus Edwards, but we need Porro. So I think that would be more sensible. Just go for the one, because if it is, because they don't want to sell unless that we invoke their clause. So if they do want that, then we're better off just getting one of them. Why get both when we didn't want Edwards in the first place? It just doesn't make sense.
I think the old adage of never go back applies here, I think. I heard rumours Marcus Edwards is a little bit of a party animal in Lisbon as well. So I just get the feeling he might be a bit of trouble coming back. You know, I know we have something to prove, but I think we can do better. I think Kessié would be a better bet for the club, but we'll see. I mean, if he comes, we'll just have to not put up with it. We'll have to get on with it and hope he's a success to all our players. But as Ellie rightly said, the centre back is our main priority here. And from that point of view, we're supposed to be in talk.
But the problem with that, Philip, is that I feel like we can all speculate what we think is best, but really and truly, it's the Conte thinks is best. It doesn't matter what we speculate, what we say we want. It's about what Conte thinks. Yeah. So, I mean, so for me, the most
one.
Yeah, I understand all we can do is speculate, but I'm just trying to say, like, if we don't get a player because you thought we needed them and he didn't, then obviously our expectations are different to his. So, you know, we've got to understand that he might see things differently to us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean,
we will never get it right. We will never get it right. We can reach our opinion, you know?
It's our opinion, yeah. It's our opinion. At the end of the day, our opinion is
of course.
What we want. But then obviously Conte is the man who's going to make the decision. But if I was in charge of Spurs, I would definitely go first priority centre back, because that's where we've been leaking the goals. We can shore that up. We've got something happening.
Yeah, I was only saying that because my internet cut off.
Yeah. You're having trouble.
Sorry,
it's the dog's water.
Laggy.
The dog's water's leaked in. He slopped it all over the internet wires.
We've got Tyler here. He said it's never good bringing back a player back usually also, and that's a very good point. Bringing back players to clubs is never a good thing. It never works out the second time. For me, I have to agree.
Sometimes. It might sometimes, but rarely.
I have to agree with you, Philip, that, look, I'd rather go for just the one player, which is the right wing back. We don't need Marcus Edwards. We've got Gil Messi. We've got enough players playing on the wing to cover that position. So I would have to agree with you.
I think the best three players who came back was Robbie Keane from Liverpool after the 6-month spell, Jermaine Defoe, I think he came back 3 times, and I would say Teddy Sheringham. His second spell was excellent.
Yeah. It doesn't always work. Mickey Hazard as well, but he was quite late in his career when he came back.
Yeah, he's a bit older.
Mm.
Yeah, and you slow down. You do slow down.
That is so true. But anyway, so that's that. We've got Conte explains why he does not want to loan out the players. Now we're talking about Messi. We're talking about Papa Sarr. We're talking about the players that played last night. Now, guys, look, I'm quite happy for them to stay around because I think they can play a good. They can be important for us coming forward in the second half of the season. I'll start with you, Philip, and then I'll go to you, Ellie, then you, Mia. Philip, is he right now to give these lads a chance, to give the younger players a chance now to prove that they can do it? They proved last night. Gil Messi proved last night he can do it with Papa Sarr, who came on and had a very good game with Højbjerg in the middle of the park, and he proved he can play there. So, do you think we need to use these younger players going forward now? Then put them out and loan, let them in the team, give them the experience, and let them show Conte what they can do, because they could end up like new signings for us.
Like we could have upwards of how many games left? We could have upwards of maybe 40 games left in the season. 35 to 40 games left. Those guys came on last night and proved they're going nowhere in January. Absolutely nowhere. Papa Sarr is staying. He was really good when he came on last night. Yeah, I'm very impressed with him. He's athletic, he's tall, he's strong, he's got good box to box energy. And Brian Hill had his best game in the Spurs shirt. And as I said earlier there, it was the pass for Harry Kane's second goal was slide rule. Perfect. And when he came off, when he was substituted later on, I was so delighted to see Antonio give him a big bear hug. I'd say that guy nearly floated back to Tottenham last night after that. Didn't need the bus because he'd be so delighted with that. He's wasted a long time for that. He's 18 months with us. And there you go. I mean, he won't go anywhere. There are probably young players, maybe fringe players under 23s that possibly will go out on loan. But if he sends Papa Sarr and Brian Hill out on loan, he has to answer to me first.
Yeah.
We got Dave Hotspur. Big up, Dave. Thank you for joining us. He says Marcus Thuram has 6 months left in his contract, which I actually did read. I read into that today.
Yeah.
He's much better and much cheaper than a Marcus Edwards, in his opinion. Ellie, do you agree with him?
I don't know, because I've got a soft spot for players that have come through our academy, because they're Spurs through and through. He didn't want to leave Spurs. It's just because, like Philip said, he's got a reputation of being a party animal. So he's got to address that if he wants to be a top professional. Because he was getting held as little Messi, wasn't he? So, you know, he has got something special, the boy. And I think to bring him back, me personally, I'd love to see him back, because I watched him when he was a kid. I watched him when he was a teenager as well. And I think he's got all the attributes to bring a lot to our midfield. And also, he can play a right wing back position. He can, because he's very tricky, you know. And you don't have to be big to be on the wing. You know, the best players normally flying wingers, you know. I just feel that he's got something more to offer and he's got something to prove.
But if you've got the Daniel Levy aspect, if he can get
the problem with that, Ellie,
yes.
Yeah, go on there, Mia.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that you can have all the ability, if you haven't got the application, it's no good. It's no good if you've got the right attitude on the right application. You can't. There's no point of having all that skill, because look at what happened with Dele Alli. He had all the attributes, but he didn't know what to do. Like, he didn't want to use those. He got lazy. He got his attitude was bad. So
yeah. One thing I would say to that, he's never had a manager as strong as Conte. I think if he comes under Conte's wing, he'll bring him into line and he'll show him. He'll say, look, you've got a short career, like Jose did to Dele, but Dele was far gone way before that. Whereas Marcus Edwards, he's still very young. I think he's 24, if I'm right, or 25. So he's still got a lot of his career ahead of him. And I just feel like he's one of those prodigal sons who can come back under Conte's regime. He can pull him strong, say, look, son, knuckle down and you could be the best midfielder that we've had for a long chalk, because the boy, he's got talent. You saw it against us in 2 matches, and I've been watching him since then, and he's been performing very, very well.
I mean, Philip, look, we've got Dave Hosper saying about Michael Thuram. We have Conte, look, he doesn't want to loan out the loan players. Surely is it time for them to listen to Conte, do what he wants? Because if we listen to Conte and do how he wants to do things, we'll be more successful, wouldn't we? And it also gives us that in depth in the squad as the season goes on. If we do get injuries, that we've got players to fill in that position. It's all about later on in the season, isn't it? I mean, it's all about squad rotation with all the games that are coming up, with the cup games, with the Champions League games, with the league games, with 2 games or 3 games a week, Philip. It's all about rotation now, isn't it?
Yeah. I know we need squad depth, and you lend out those guys, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot because you can be sure the first time they've gone off, first week they go, somebody gets injured, and we could have done with them back at the club. Yeah. So I think that there are players that will go, but there are players that wouldn't be making the first team. Whereas Hapasar and Brian Hill have fought their way into the first team now, and they're integral members of the squad. And Harvey White's another one; he won't go anywhere either. We need him to keep.
Now, I'll start with Ellie on this, and then I go to Mia, then you, Philip. Ellie, look, we've got the likes of Harvey White, we've got Alfie Devine, we've got Dane Scarlett out on loan at Portsmouth, we've got. What's the Irish striker? Is that
Troy Parrott?
Troy Parrott out on loan at Preston North End. Are we blessed, do you think, with these bunch of young lads that are coming through that are very talented? But the one that worries me is Troy Parrott. He doesn't seem to be kicking on. Now, for whatever reason, if it's his lifestyle, if he's been injured quite a lot, is he one of these injury-prone players? And also with Alfie Devine and Dane Scarlett, should we start bringing them back and start introducing them into this team next season so they start getting a run in the first team?
Well, with Conte, he doesn't really like to play youngsters, so I don't think they're going to get a look in next season, maybe the year after, if we've still got Conte in charge. I think Alfie Devine is the one that stands out, though. He's excellent. I love him. I think he's brilliant. I mean, the guy's got like a pass on him. His movement is fantastic. He's like a little devil. He reminds me a lot like Paul Scholes.
Yeah.
He reminds me like Paul Scholes, And Paul Scholes was right up there with the very best of them, And I coming back to Troy Parrott, I think he needs a Conte. He does. They all need a Conte, these players, because he will hold them tight. He's a mentalist. He gets into the player's skin. He tells them, you get down there and knuckle down, or else I'll kill you. That he puts the fear of God in the players, and it's nice to have that tight ship, because we've never had the tight ship at Spurs. We've always had a ship and then men overboard, what I mean? Jumping overboard, jumping ship, and down in tools. So now we've got this continuity. We've got the first 11 are probably picking themselves. There's 1 or 2 tweaks here or there. But I think Alfie Devine, I think he's the one that will break through next season.
Yeah. Mia, look, if you were Conte, right, and would you now be arguing Paratici, I need to keep these young players in. I need to keep the Gills and the Devines. I want them in the first squad. I want them in there. Do you think he'd be now having to look at the youngsters where he might have a good youngster coming in that could save without buying one in, if you know what I mean?
But the problem we've got is exactly what Carl Simpson's saying, is that they need to get experience. So while they're all sitting on the bench and not getting experience, that's not good for them either. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because you want them to play regular football, really, because they're young and they need to get that experience. Because look at somebody like Kane, who went on many loans. He went on several loans and then come back with that good experience. So the problem is if they're sitting on the bench and not getting regular time, that's not good for their development either. So it's a really difficult situation, because you want them to get that experience.
So Mia, so would you loan out the likes of? Would you still loan out Gil and Papa Sarr for the rest of the season then, or would you keep them?
Do you know what? It is just, I think maybe not Gil, because I think that we have got, because if Mora goes and Mora obviously is unfit at the moment, I would keep him, because we do need someone if Kulusevski is injured, and like now with Richarlison also injured. But when in the midfield, we seem to be packed out. So unless one of our midfielder goes, I think that I would actually keep Sarr and get rid of Skip, because I think the Skip's too similar to Højbjerg, and I think that Sarr is a little bit of a difference to that. So I would actually keep Sarr and get rid of Skip, and then get someone who's a creative midfielder in, because I do think in the midfield we're packed out. We can't keep Sarr as well.
I mean, look, we've got here, Tyler. Look, we've got a super chat. Tyler, we will get back to your comment, and it's a very good comment. So I have started, so we will get back to it. We've got a super chat here from the bottom dude. A big up, and thank you so much. And if you do want to get a question in, and like the Dumat Duda, please, it does skip the queue. It does get you to head of the list. So, but Tyler, we will get back to yours because I like your question. And he put, question for the panel: what kind of centre back do you think we need? A stopper, a ball winner, a defender, or a ball playing defender? And where will you categorise our current ones? Right. If I can start on this one, guys, and then I'll go to Ellie. Then I'll go to Philip, Ellie. I know Philip, Mia, then you, Ellie. Sorry, I don't mean to put you last, Ellie.
No,
sorry.
Don't worry. Last is okay by me.
No, I tried to be fair.
Nothing, can it? You've got to keep us all happy.
Right. For me, the bottom dude. Look, for me, what we need, I would love a kind of a Romero and a Longley centre back rolled into one. Somebody that could put your foot in, but if he puts his foot on the ball, can play out from the back. So that would be my sort of centre back. Where do I categorize our current ones? Romero, well, he's a god. He really is a god. Longley, I wish we could sign him for next season because I think he has done well for us when they come here. But Dyer, Sanchez need to go. They need to be kicked out of the club here and now. I am sorry. I am sick to death of hearing, oh, Dyer plays well, or he had a good game last night. Well, what about the harder 50 games that he let us down, that he let away points in, like away at Brentford? Okay, he needs to go. We bought him for 5 million. We're selling for 3. I don't care making a 2 million loss on him. We're just selling for 3. But for me, that's, I think if it wasn't for Romero and Longley, we'd be conceding a lot more goals than we are. And it showed when Romero wasn't there. If you put Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis in the back 3, we're useless. You put Romero and Longley with Dyer in the middle. Okay, we're going to be a bit wobbly in the middle, but Dyer and Longley, Romero and Longley, they do keep it together. Yeah. And I have to say, last night, Romero, if you watch Romero, he went to tackle somebody and he accidentally kicked it out for a corner. And he thumped the ground, and you can see the disgust and the disappointment in his face that, feck, I fucked it up. Excuse my language. You can see the determination. So that's why I stand on the current ones. And for me, I like a Romero and a Longley rolled into one. Somebody that can put the foot in, but if they put the foot on the ball, they can bring it out, which we do need. I don't know who was going next. Was it Philip? Philip,
yes.
I don't know if you know. What do you say to the bottom? Great super chat, though.
Yeah, it's a good super chat. We need another ball playing defender because we play out any team that plays out from the back, which is most of them now. Needs someone that's comfortable on the ball and can take the ball from Hugo Lloris, who's anything but comfortable on the ball, and bring it forward, transition the ball through the midfield up to the attack. So yeah, I think you're quite right, Dermot. If we could clone Romero and Longley together and bring out whatever the prodigy is, then that would be a good centre back for us. I suppose one also maybe who has just got a little bit more height on him, just to allow for the dealing with the big centre halves and centre backs on corners. But yeah, but now the problem is now that a shopping list there are very few of them around at reasonable money. I know we'd all love to get Gabriel or Bastoni, but it ain't going to happen, I don't think. It'll be someone up and coming, maybe, who won't be on huge money.
No, that's so true. Mia, what do you say to the bottom duder?
I would say that I agree with both of you that we need someone that's probably a long lay and Romero crossover. I think we definitely need someone who can control the ball better in that defense, look confident on the ball, can get it, turn with it, looks like they're actually in control. The current ones are clowns and strippers. No, they're not footballers. I don't think that they've got anything on their contract that says they're footballers, because I swear they're just not. They're not footballers. They're useless, absolute useless. So that's how I categorize our current ones. Oh, of course, Romero, of course not. Romero is a god.
Ellie, according to me, we've got clowns and strippers as our current, apart from Romero and Longley, right? What do you say to the bottom dude? It's a great super chat, I have to say. But do you agree with us, or do you have a completely different what you look for completely?
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the sort of Alan Hansen type of defender, or a Ledley King, and a cross between Alan Hansen and Ledley King. So you've got the speed of Ledley King and the speed of Fall, and sniffing out danger. And you need a ball playing centre half that can actually bring the ball out confident. He's not scared of taking a chance with a pass. And he can pin a pass as well. That's what I like to see. Because at the moment, it's very laboured. When Dyer gets the ball, it's like forever to move the ball. And you're thinking, just pass the ball. And when he passes it, 90% of the time, it goes AWOL. So what's the point? The thing is with Dyer, right, he's got his limitations, we know. I mean, he's not a dreadful, dreadful footballer, but he's not a footballer, if you know what I mean. I agree with Mia. He's not dreadful. Like, he's not, say, I don't know, if I can pin out a name from the past, someone like Tony Adams.
Right, Ellie. Right, I want to pick you up on something, Ellie. Ellie, I want to pick you up on something.
I made my first dig.
Yeah, I want to pick you up something. Right, Dave said it the other night. He failed as a midfielder. He failed as a defensive midfielder, and he's failed as a central defender.
Yeah, he's a big fat failure.
Do you think he'd be great at pointing cars into the car park at White Hart Lane in the car park? You think, because he loves pointing at things.
Yeah,
when he's defending.
Speak Portuguese and Spanish. And he can direct. If we get a Portuguese team or a Spanish team in the Europa Cup or the Champions League, whatever we qualify for, he can direct them.
Go on, Mia. Go on. But look, but
he'd be good in the circus. It could be one of those acts, one of those like like the freak acts. He could be the pointer. That's what he could be.
Yeah,
that's true. Philip, do you want to add anything on that? Eric Dyer being the pointer? Do you know what he'd be good at if he wasn't a footballer?
Well, let's say we played Sporting Lisbon this season. They're Portuguese. Wasn't doing much pointing. No, I mean, he needs to be replaced. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But just before I go off, can I just it's a great point to bottom do to put there. But can I just refer back to the previous topic we were dealing with about players on loan? Roy Parrott hasn't played a match since the 8th of October. He's back at Tottenham for rehabilitation after his injury, which was self-inflicted, I should say. After he scored his first goal for Preston, he went off in a celebration and done his leg in. Right? It only happened to a Tottenham player. But my worry about sending players on loan is Dane Scarlett was a blue-eyed boy to the previous Portsmouth manager. He played 21 times for him. That manager's now been sacked. Right? Where does that leave Dane Scarlett? The new boy mightn't fancy him. So going out on loan is not always the answer. I've seen lots of Spurs players go out on loan and sit on the bench the entire season and not even get a game and be called back. So that's why I think we've got to be very careful who we send out on loan this season. Yeah, anyone who's played for the first team this season, no. Anybody who hasn't, possibly. So
You're
that's
going
just
to
want to
say
get
there,
that out,
Philip.
you know.
I just want to say,
there.
Ellie, just 2 minutes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much to Martin Duter for your super chat. Really appreciated it and great
Brilliant.
comments.
Yeah, well
I
done.
just want to go back to this comment, Ellie, and I'll start with you.
Yeah.
And then it says, I feel like this is from Tyler, and I started this comment because it was already a comment, I think. It says, I feel like although I love Skippy, Divine, Sar, and White are all either better or will be better. I think we should look to sell Skip. Where do you stand on that?
Well, the thing is, right, he's had a lot of injuries and it slowed his progress down. But that doesn't mean he can't come back from that, because we've seen players who've had big injuries and, you know, they've come back even stronger. So I would give Skip another go, because he hasn't got match fitness yet. You could tell yesterday he was off the pace. All right. But once he does get it, I mean, he was performing well. That Leicester game, especially last season, that we won 3-2. In the first half, he was fabulous. I thought he was up and down, box to box, making tackles. You know, the boy's got talent and he's got Spurs at heart. I know I harp on about Steve Perryman. He's on my hat, as you can all see, right? He said there's nothing better than a homegrown player because they care. They care about the club. They care about putting the effort in. And Skippy's one of those. Don't give up on him, people. Don't give up on him. That's what I say.
Yeah. Philip, where do you stand on Skippy?
Well, 2 seasons ago, Oliver Skipp was player of the season for Norwich when he went on loan. We got them into the Premiership, basically.
Yeah.
And we all thought, this is great. He's going to be great for us when he come back. And he was for a while. But as Ellie said, he's had a number of injuries. While I love the guy to bits, I really think for his own career, he is going to get bypassed by the likes of Papa Sarr, Harvey White, and Andy Devine. Andy Devine is going to be—he's only 18, and apparently he's pulling up trees in the underage squads at the moment. So I think for Skippy's sake, maybe he should move on. Not that I want him to, but I think, you know, how patient is he going to be? And he'll probably go to another club and have a great career. And I wish him well if he does. But I think he's just slipping down the pecking order a little bit at Spurs.
To Martin Duter's super chat, we've got Steve D's put in a couple of we've got the VA, the double act, which I think we've never replaced since they've left, to be fair. And here's one, Ellie and Philip, after our own heart. Really, here's one. Mabbott and Perriman.
Yes.
What a combination.
Yeah,
We see for me, it was somebody said it the other day. We had Chrissy Houghton, Graham Roberts, Paul Miller, and Steve Perriman.
Brilliant.
I mean, that is a back four.
That is solid.
That back four won us 2 FA Cups, and I think and the UEFA Cup.
And you know something? If you look at the height of those guys, none of them are more than 5'10".
No.
And another back four that was brilliant: Dawson, Ledley King, Carl Walker, and Danny Rose. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Carl Simpson said Dyer will make a quality lifeguard at the local. Please get your thoughts in. If Dyer wasn't a footballer,
what's he going to be saving?
I'll help him with the application if he wants help.
Look, get your thoughts in. If Dyer wasn't a footballer, what would you put him as? So
I hope he'd be a lifeguard in the shallow end, not the deep end. I wouldn't like him rescuing me in the deep end.
Not a lifeguard.
No, he'd let you drown. He wouldn't be quick enough.
Why would you want him? He can't save anything.
And Sanchez as his backup, or Lord Jesus,
he's like a fridge. He'll probably sink.
we got Steve D. We got Steve D here. Remember, Roberts getting his teeth knocked out, and he carried on playing.
Yeah.
What was the stop? Didn't the doctor try to stop him from coming out, and he ran off, and the doctor was trying to get him to stop him? That was funny.
I'm going back on.
Yeah.
What are you on about? Shut up.
And we got here. This is a bit disrespect towards Spurs start. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Could you imagine the fully fit King and Graham Roberts? Oh Lord Jesus. We've got Derek Hutchinson.
Lads, Chelsea are giving Man City one hell of a game here. City are way off the game tonight. and it's still nil each
Right.
after an hour.
Jesus.
We want to finish it a draw, really.
Yeah, we've got
better.
Derek Hutchinson saying, Derek, it says Dyer would be a good gardener.
Yeah.
And Tyler's here. Since Fintongan and Arda, I don't want to read this one out, Philip.
Yeah, since Vertonghen and Alderweireld left, we've only gotten Romero and Longley on loan. Well, Longley's on loan, Romero's full time.
Yeah, he's full time.
What are we doing sticking with Dyer, Davis, and Sanchez so long? It's a bit of a disgrace. Well, that's pretty much the thought of an awful lot of our fans, I think. And let's hope that they're working on it. Because all we need is to bring in one decent centre back to slot in with Longley and Romero, and then the other guys become squad players almost immediately.
Yeah. Mia, what do you say to that? What do you say to Tyler's comment there? He's actually made a very good point, hasn't he?
Haven't we bought Romero?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he has made a good point. But haven't we bought Romero now, haven't we? So he's a permanent. Obviously, it's Longley that's not. I do think we need someone else because I do think I like Longley personally. I like Longley, so I do think we need someone else because Dyer and Davies, Sanchez are just not good enough. They're just not. Davies is all right. He's like vanilla. He's not great, but he'll do. But he's not good enough. But Sanchez, he just drops to the floor so quick. That's why I call him a stripper because he drops to the floor quickly.
It's like when you go to a restaurant, Mia, and you order chocolate ice cream and they give you vanilla. Stupid kids.
Ellie, Amir, and Philip, Steve D puts Dyer would be good as a lollipop lady. He's good at pointing. That's very good. Yeah. So there's another job for him.
I like the lollipop lady. Not the
I do. That's my
favourite. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him with my children crossing the road because he's not very safety. He's not very aware what's around him, is he? So I wouldn't want him to cross my children across the road.
We have Tyler. We need at least 2 centre backs to be bought. Yeah, we do. Elias thinks I'm wicked inside. Oh, there you go. That's life. Yeah, get on with it. Right. We're following on from that now, and which was a good discussion on that. Our next point now is following their excellent performance last night. Can both Brian Hill and Papa Sarr play an important role for the rest of the season? For me, yep. I think they can. I think it's important that they play on Saturday in the FA Cup against Portsmouth. And I think Hill has to start now. He started the last 2 games. He has to start. He got a massive bear hug by Conte last night when he came off, undeservedly so. Can you imagine, guys, if he scores his first goal on Saturday, Brian Hill, against Portsmouth? The roof is going to come off that stadium because he's been through it, Brian Hill. Papa Sarr, for me, we were crying out for Papa Sarr last season, and people were saying, get him back off loan, get him in the team. He's now back in the team. Look, Ellie, they're going to be around now. They're looking like they are going to be the future of Tottenham Hotspur in that midfield. Do you think they do have an important role for the rest of the season? And would you play them from the start on Saturday against Portsmouth?
Definitely, because we need something more exciting to watch, something different. You know, and these 2 guys, they're totally opposites in terms of their play. But I like Papa Sarr especially because he's very elegant. I like players that look comfortable on the ball. When he receives the ball, he just takes it in his stride. You know, he's not panicking. He's a cool character. That's what I like to see in our midfielders. And someone who can take the ball forward confidently and not lose the ball. Be confident in his own ability. And that's what Papa Sarr's got. Now, Brian Hill, he's a very intelligent footballer. He finds pockets of space all over the pitch. His movement is good. His link-up play is good. I don't know what people were saying when they say he's not good enough. I see a player with great potential, and I think he will go from strength to strength under Conte. Now Conte's got a few injuries and he can see what he's all about. He's not giving him the full 90 minutes, probably because he doesn't think physically, the physicality side, he can't last. But those 60 minutes that he's been giving him, I like what I see. Definitely.
Yeah. Philip, look, we know City have got 1-0 up against Chelsea, but with Brian Hill and Papa Sarr, would you start them Saturday?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to rest a few players on Saturday.
Mm.
We can't be putting the same 11 out every game. I mean, with respect to Portsmouth, they're a Division 1 team. This is the biggest game they've had in years, and they'll be up for it. And there'll be a tough test. But I think our squad depth is big enough to let those two guys start. Possibly Fraser Foster in goal, and I'm hoping Harry Kane plays because I have a feeling he'll either equal or beat the record on Saturday. But I want him to beat the record against Arsenal.
Yes.
So I can just imagine Harry's level on the Jimmy Greaves, and he gets a penalty in the 93rd minute. What does he do with it?
Not over the bar, please, Harry.
No, you might go for the point. Mia, Carl Simpson is saying, then we get your thoughts on Papa Sarr and Brian Hill and what you think Hill needs to do between now and the end of the season to ready for the start of next season, because I think next season is going to be his year. Apparently, Carl Simpson says Sanchez, Emerson, Dyer, and Davis are all starring in the remake of The Full Monty. Oh, Lord Jesus. That's just totally destroyed that film. Bless him. Right. Mia, Brian Hill and Papa Sarr. I mean, look, the guys think they should start Saturday. What would you do with Brian Hill now between now and the end of the season? How would you get him? Would you beef him up? What would you do?
I think they should start, definitely. I think that it's a team, you know, should be able to confidently start them. And I think it'd be good for them to get more experience as well. What I would say about Hill is that I think he's very good. I think he's very skillful, but I do think that he's got a lot to learn. He's very young. So obviously they will have a bit of inconsistencies when they're younger, but I do think he's good, and I do think he needs more time. Definitely, it definitely needs a bit more time to get. And I think this game is a perfect game for him to come on to play. Definitely.
Philip, who scored and who assisted for the Man City?
Mahrez scored and assist by Grealish. Good goal, actually. Well, nicely worked goal. They have been putting on the pressure a bit, but both teams have hit the woodwork, and Chelsea are by no means out of this. You know, it's not a fluent City performance as we're used to. So let's hope that like this one to play us.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to say big up to John Fitzpatrick. He says big up Ellie Philomere, big up John, my Irish brother. Hope you're doing all right, and also big up to his and Bluff Hoggies. Never seen you before, but big up for tuning in. He says, Gill is the only player that gives us something a bit different. I love to see a player willing to try and take players on and make something happen. I agree with that.
Spot on.
I agree with that. And Peter Ram said this, what you said to me last night, Ellie. You said this to me when we had a complete meltdown with our equipment and we had to cut the thing. You said this to me in the back when we did get up and running. We were talking in the back room. Watching the match together. You said to me, Gil reminds you of Modric, and Peter Rempus, Gil reminds me of how Modric was when he started. Obviously skilled, but needed to get physical and more resilient. Modric got it, and so will Gil. Look, I think we've got a world-class player on our hands with Brian Hill. I really, really do. And Ellie, what excites you more about Brian Hill and Papa Sarr? What is there something there that really gets the juices flowing, that you look at them and thinking, right, we've got two world star players here?
What I like about them both, they play without fear. They play with confidence. Their movement is fabulous, you know, and they're not scared to take a player on and lose the ball. I like that in a player. You know, we've had Sessegnon, who's the ultimate player that you look at and you think, go on, take him on and he hasn't got the confidence to take that player on. He always checks, or very rarely he'll take on the player. So when I see Brian Hill bombing down the wing, weaving in and out, trying to find pockets of space to create space for others, which a lot of people don't appreciate. When you make a run, right, you're making a run for the other player to get free, right? So you're distracting from the defenders. You're taking them out. So he does a lot of that, Brian Hill, which he doesn't get a lot of credit for. And I'm watching him closely, and he's a very intelligent footballer, you know. A lot of people don't give him credit for that. And also, Papa Sarr, he's got the engine. He can go from box to box. He's got elegance. He's got a good eye for picking out a pass as well. You know, so we've got 2 gems there. Let's hold on to them and nurture them.
I just want to mention also, I did at the start stream, but again, this is channel's been sponsored by Nick Coupland / the driving force behind Thfc. Thank you, Nick, for everything you're doing for us and everything to support the drive and what you do in the background and helping us and advise us. Look, we're all extremely grateful for everything you're doing. So big up, Nick, and we hope we're doing you proud, and that's all we want to do is to make us proud and make you proud and make this channel as best as we can do it. So big up, Nick. Guys, look, I'll start with Mia on this, and then go to you, Philip. Mia, look, a lot of people were slagging off Brian Hill, okay, and saying that he wasn't good and he wasn't skillful enough and he wasn't this and he wasn't that. And then suddenly he puts in 2 good performances and then they're all singing the praises of him. What do you say to them people that wanted skill gone, wanted him gone, out the club, sell him, do whatever you want with him? He never played for Tottenham. He's not good enough for the shirt. And now they're all singing these praises after last night. What do you say to them fans now?
I think we have to be... Right, okay. There's 2 things. We have to be careful with players and dismissing them very quickly. I think that we can do that sometimes, where we're just like, they're no good, blah, blah. I think just have to wait and see. But sometimes we also can change our opinions because of different, like, we can get new information and we can then say, actually, I've changed my mind. I actually think he is pretty good. And so I think that people are allowed to change their minds, and by pointing fingers and saying, oh, well, now look, blah, de, blah. Well, we don't know yet how he's going to turn out. So let's not big him up too much, because we still don't know what's going to happen with him and what kind of player is going to turn out. I think that we just need to be a bit level-headed, because I feel like sometimes people go too far either way. They're either like, he's rubbish and we don't like him, blah, de, blah, or, oh my God, he's amazing. He's the best thing since sliced bread. So, like, let's just all be calm and just wait and see what happens with him, because we don't know yet. He is a very skillful player and he is good. I've always said we need to give time to see what they're like. So I feel like it's, sometimes people just need to be a bit more balanced.
Yeah,
I am doing the fans. Let's just have a bit of balance, people.
Yeah. I am doing a chat into the I've put a poll into the chat, guys, and I'm really shocked by this. I've asked how many players will we buy this window. 13% have said no one. 26% said 0 to 1. 57% have said 1 to 2, and 4% have said 2 to 3. Ellie, does that poll shock you, or are you quite surprised at that poll?
No, it doesn't shock me, because everybody's got a difference of opinion. I think people fluctuate as well in what they want out of the club. 1 week they want 3 or 4 players, and next week they say just 1. So I'm of that ilk as well, because I feel that we need, if we're going to spend big on one player, it has to be the centre back. All right, if that's all our budget can stretch to, because I don't want to see these £15 million players or a loan player or a 20 million player that's not going to work out, like the Vinicius and Fernandez. Sorry, I forgot his name there. He was only with us for 2 seconds, right? But you know what I mean? I don't want to see loan players. I want to see one statement signing, or at best 2 with the right wing back, because I think the right wing back position is more important than the cam, right? Because I think Papa Sarr can fill that role. I really do. I really think he's got the attributes to fill that role. So maybe we won't have to invest. But the centre back and the right wing back, because I don't think Doherty, although he's been showing better, we know he's got limitations, the boy. So we need someone of more gives us more goals as well,
Yeah.
and creates more.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. I agree. So, guys, so we're sort of all in agreement that they should start on Saturday, but we've got to be patient with them, but they will turn into be world stars. Okay, I want to move on here, and I'll start with Philip first on this, and then I go to you, Ellie, and then you, Mia. No, actually, go to you first, Ellie, because I went to Philip first last time, so I'll start with you first this time, then Philip, then you, Mia. Does Daniel Levy's reputation as difficult to deal with have a
Detrimental.
detrimental effect on our transfer policy, with some clubs reluctant to deal with him? Now, Ellie, look, we all know he's a bit of a hard deal maker, and we know he hasn't gone the extra mile over some players. The Berbatov deal, when we sold Berbatov to United, went to the very last minute because, and even the Man United chairman, Edwards at the time, had come out and said that Daniel Levy's the hardest chairman he's ever had to deal with. Look, we know his faults, and we know what he's good at, and we know what he's bad at. But is that a good thing to have a chairman that won't let other clubs pull our pants down, if you know what I mean, when it comes to buying players of us? That you have somebody there that will try to drive a hard bargain.
See, what Daniel Levy does, I mean, he's going to penny pinch here and there to save the club money, but that's what all businessmen do in a way. You know, they all try and save a buck, because at the end of the day, you're putting more money towards something else. As long as he's penny pinching, is in benefit to the club. Because in the past it hasn't been. So what I would say is that he has to be careful when he's dealing with clubs that have got maybe a higher standing to us in world football. You know, because we really want to get their players, don't we? We don't want to get the players that are up and coming. We want to get the players that are ready, especially under Conte, the players that can come in and fit into our system straight away and give us what we need. But I think he's got the club's best interest at heart most of the time, you know. But then sometimes you read things like when he went to Kenwright up to do the Delhi deal, and then he did the Spence deal. Right, and he took charge of it weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and then more weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So, you know, it does get on fans' boobs, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Mia, with the Spence deal, I had black hair once, and then at the end of that deal, I was fully grey. So that shows what that deal did to me. Mia, do you know what? Do you know Daniel Levy does have a reputation, a bit of a. He doesn't go the extra mile when it comes to getting players in, Mia. Do you think he has his businessman accountant heads on, where other chairmen will go that extra mile? Or I'm being hypothetical here. Or has he got the best interests at Tottenham at heart? So we don't overspend and we don't get ourselves into a position where we were in the past, where we were always on the negative sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that it's hard because as fans, we feel like what's best for the club is different to what he thinks is better for the club. So I think that's where the difficulty lies, where I feel like that see, like Man United, they overpaid so many players, overpaid for so many players, and their fans get hacked off with it. So we would get hacked off of it as well, because if they don't work out, like Ndombele, we're going to sit there and say, you paid that much money for him. Why did you do that for? So whatever he does, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he don't. So if he spends money on, say, a Richarlison, people say, and we should have got Richarlison, we've done that. So, like, it's a really difficult one, isn't it? I feel like he is a hard-headed guy. But then sometimes in business, you have to be hard-headed, because if people know that you're weak, they take advantage of that. They know that sense, that weakness of you. We can get what we want because we're a bigger, better club than you, and you don't want a business because that's not going to be good for you. Because if you pay one person over the odds, then everyone's going to try and charge you over the odds. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you've got to try and see it again from a bit more of a level-headed position.
Yeah. Philip, where
That's
do you
sort of
stand
how
on
I
Mr.
see it.
Levy?
Maybe I'm wrong, and that's just my opinion. So
yeah, no, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Look, David Clark says it went to the last minute because Berbatov was flown to Manchester in a private jet, but he didn't have permission to talk to United. So let's get the facts right. Look, Philip, okay, would you please stop trying to everything I say you're trying to correct? Okay, just stop it a little bit. Okay, not everything we get right. I can't remember, but that was a while ago. So all I know is what Mr. Edwards said, the United chairman said Daniel Levy was a hard man to deal with as well. So instead of saying the comment and then trying to make me like I don't know what I'm talking about, just I don't mind you putting in the comment, but it's always that little bit of thing at the end. Sorry, it just got to me. Sorry,
everybody
Philip.
can make a mistake. You know, everybody can say something they don't really, they believe is true, but it might not be true.
Well,
so
it was true, Ellie. That bit was true.
I know it was true, but what I'm saying is that everybody can say something that's not true. I'll defend you, Dermot, because if you say something that's true, that you believe is true, anybody, not just you, Dermot, and then somebody corrects you, there's a way to correct it, person.
Yeah. Thank you. Philip, where do you stand on Mr. Levy? And
Daniel Levy is, he's a hard-nosed businessman, first of all. A football chairman, secondly. His business degree comes first. His love of Spurs comes second. Now, I can understand that he is difficult to deal with. I think it's the Olympic Lyon chairman in France. I think you need to give him a stroke from the difficult deals they had with buying one of those French players that we did. Remember, we bought a few players from Lyon there back at 3 or 4 years ago. Daniel Levy won't pay over the odds for players, and for that he's right, because Manchester United ruined the game there for a lot of clubs, as Chelsea are doing now, by paying over the odds for players that in Chelsea's position don't really need. But Daniel Levy he treats every pound like it's his own. Okay, I know that gets very frustrating for the fans, especially over like Jack Grealish. I think 3 million was the difference there. We didn't take Jack Grealish when we could have. But what I think what happens with Levy, and he knows this happens, whenever Spurs go in for a player and they ring up the club and say, we want to buy X, Y, and Z from you, that club immediately puts the price up because they know it's Daniel Levy that's dealing with him. And hopefully they'll bargain him down to the price that they would actually accept for the player. So that's the way I look at him. I know he's probably going to be number one for a lot of Spurs fans.
Yeah.
And in some ways he deserves it. But in other ways, he's probably saved us a lot of money over the years. Paying over the odds for players that possibly would not have been a success at Tottenham. Now, that being said, I hope that he sees the supporters' trust letter that's gone in today, which we might discuss later on.
Yeah, we will do.
A little bit to the reality of what us fans are seeing now, and the need to back the manager in this particular case. When he's got a manager, he needs to hang on to. So hopefully, he will see the light and spend some of that money that the club. I mean, the club is earning a lot of money off non-football activities, and it's just where that money is going to. I think is probably what a lot of people are questioning.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he says here, I'm saying all the blame can't be on Levy. Look, all the blame cannot be on Levy.
No, it's not.
If he buys a player and that player doesn't go to his full potential, Ellie, I mean, look. He is right, David Clark, isn't it? All the blame cannot be put on Levy. And I sort of agree with that. Not everything is Levy's fault.
No, because when you think about it, right, he employs everybody, right? So he employs the scouters, the main man who scouts, the director of football. So it all boils back to him. But these other men should take responsibility as well, because they're the ones who are looking at these players and determining whether they're good enough to come to Spurs. And if they've made quite a lot of gaffes down the lines, but they've made some good ones as well. So, you know, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt with Daniel Levy, because he gets a lot of stick, probably because we haven't won trophies as well. It's that is the main reason why I think Spurs fans have got the gripe, because we haven't won trophies. And if we'd won 5 or 6 or 7 trophies, I think the story would be very different. You know, they would say, well, yeah, he's a good chairman because we've won trophies. Because in my eyes, trophies are the currency. I love trophies. I live for them. I want to go down to White Hart Lane and celebrate, you know, and cheer the team on because they've won the cup. You know, and I haven't done that for 14 years. Well, it's 15 years now.
Yeah, but Ellie, on the flip side of that, guys, I mean, for a kick here or a kick there, or decision here and decision there, we could have ended up winning the league twice, winning an FA Cup, winning a League Cup back-to-back, and winning the Champions League.
Because the crucial time when he could have backed Poch, he didn't. And
yeah, but the referee... But Ellie, but the point I'm making, Ellie...
But
2 years he didn't strengthen the team for Poch. He left him high and dry. But then Poch should have been strong enough to argue the point. I need these players. He went along with the flow. So he's to blame as well. You can't put it all on Levy's.
That's a good point, Ellie. That's actually
But hold on a minute. It's also not on Levy that Poch got to finals and semi-finals and he messed it up. Those guys got us to those finals and semi-finals and Poch messed it up. It ain't all down to Levy. So people forget this. If there were good enough players to get us to those finals and those semi-finals, it was us that couldn't get over the final line, which is the players. It wasn't all down to Levy. We have to be a little bit fair in our assessment.
Yeah. That's what I was saying, Leah, because you can't lay it all on Levy's desk. But you've got to have proportionate blame for the 15 years that we haven't won a trophy.
Now, guys, David Clark puts in a part. Now, my point to this now, I'll read out what he says, and I'll start with Philip, then I'll go to you, Ellie, and then I'll go to you, Mir, on this. Now, he says to me, he says to us, Enix profits are being used to facilitate cinema. I haven't seen one yet. Housing, NFL training facility, because they are property developers, first and second. The football success is just a bonus if it happens. Right. For what I understand, David, is Tottenham had to, that was in the contract when they wanted to build a new stadium, that they had to regenerate the local area. So that was, if they didn't do that, they wouldn't have got the contract, if I'm right, to build a new stadium. But also, David, if you're going to say that, that's great. But what about the football directors, like Derek Hutchinson put? Steve Hitchin made an absolute holics of players he brought in. We haven't had a decent director of football since Paratici, but before that was Paul Mitchell. Do you know what I mean? You can't just keep saving the same argument. Oh, the profits have been used for this and that and that. But that was, for what I know, that was put in the contract to build a new stadium. Philip, what do you say to David Clark? Am I wrong in saying that, about that being put into the contract?
No, you're right about the housing development and that, and the local infrastructure. That they would not have got planning permission, or the even. I think there's been an addition to the planning permission to allow the ground capacity to be increased even since the original build. They wouldn't have got that without keeping their nose, keeping their part of the bargain and buying up all the old housing around the place. But one thing what wasn't in that planning permission was they don't need to spend money on the NFL. That's not in it, and that's probably where the gripe is, spending money on a non-soccer activity. And that money could be going back into the club. Now, we know he's looking at these big NFL games when the Yanks come to town 2 or 3 times a year. They spend big, and we make a fortune. It's just that's where that money goes. That's really where a lot of people are querying that now. That should be going back into the club on the playing side. And I don't honestly think it is, and I think that is one of the main reasons why Levy is getting such a rough time at the moment.
Yeah,
it's like it needs must to get the people planning permission, but there is money being spent on things that possibly should be being spent on the club and the team.
Ellie, look, we is something here. Where is it now? Derek Hutchinson said Levy's problem is when we had a good director of football like Paul Mitchell, he can't keep his nose out of transfers. Now we all know that, but should people like Steve Hitchen take some of the blame as well for our transfer business, because he was the one who was supposed to get the players in. Now Steve Paratici's had to come in and sort of redo the mess Hitchen made.
Well,
Steve Hitchen seems to be getting a bit of a free pass here.
Hitchen got us that Jack Clark. That should be enough evidence for everybody. You know, spent 10 million on a player that barely made an appearance for us. I think we sold him off for free.
But in any sort of debate, he never gets a mention, Ellie. And do you think he should get more of a mention?
He does. There's a lot of criticism. He's taken a lot of criticism over the last few months, Steve Hitchen, especially since Paratici came in. Like, to have people said, look what we've got now. At least we've got a decent director of football that knows what he's talking about. And he's had to undo the mess that Hitchen left behind him, big time.
What I would say to that is that if I'm employed by somebody to do a job, that person has employed me because they believe that I can do the job. Right? When you see that he can't do the job, move him on. We at Spurs, we're holding on to these people too long. If they can't do the job and they've proven that they can't do the job, whereas what Philip just said about Jack Clark, barely made an appearance, never got going really in his football career at Spurs, was a shining light at Leeds United, but nothing at Spurs. All right. So what he saw initially in Jack Clark made him think that he's going to be good enough for Spurs. I don't know what he saw because I never saw it. But even when I was watching him play and I was watching his highlight reels, even I was thinking he's a very limited player. He's not a star player. You could see it. So Levy, as his boss, should have fired him a lot earlier. And got in somebody of Paratici's stature. But even him, he's made a few gaffes, especially with Emerson, So, look, these people, they can make mistakes, right? If it's one mistake, we can forgive it. But if it's several mistakes, you've got to move the person on and look elsewhere. And also, employ a scouting team or a scouting director of football that's got a team like Paratici's building now. He's got his statistician from Scotland. He's got other people involved with looking out for talent. Even the great Mickey Hazard, when he was on our show, said that he was scouted as for 2 years ago. I was watching him from the age of 11. Then by the time he was 14, he came and signed for Spurs. But nowadays, the players are getting. The young boys are getting picked up at 6, 7, or 8, and then when they get to the higher level, right, you should know what skills you should look for to bring to Spurs because the way we play, we've got a style of football that's attractive.
I can't argue with that, Ellie. I really can't. I mean, that's excellently. But Mia, look, we know. We know Hitchen wasn't very good at his job. David Clark put in the chat here. The problem with Hitchen was the fact that he was close friends with Levy, so Levy didn't hold him to account.
That's
then,
true.
Right, if you hold him in that account, right, surely Paratici should be getting more credit for what he's done since he's been there. He's done a one hell of a job, though, wasn't it? Hasn't he?
I think so, but I think that again, people, they don't want to give credit to him because in an indirect way they're giving credit to Levy, right? Because if he employed Paratici, then that means that Levy is the one that chose him, so therefore he has to get some credit, and people don't want to give Levy credit for nothing. See, that's why I always say that people get blinded so much by that they won't see anything good that happens. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a very, very good point, Mia. Guys, Tyler says, have we had a? I have a question. He says, and if you do want to get a question in, and the chat is quite busy at the moment, do put it into a super chat. It does help the channel, but it gets your question put to the very top, and we get to it straight away, and we can debate it. Very question here, Tyler. But have a question. Why do we never get anybody on a free transfer? Who wants to take that, Ellie Philip Mayer? Who wants to take that one from Tyler?
We got Fraser Foster. You know, like free transfers are.
Wasn't Longley on a free transfer?
Yeah, well, who we got?
He's on loan.
Perisic was.
Perisic was free too.
Perisic free, yeah. But they were end of contract.
Perisic, yeah, my bad, sorry.
They were end of contract players. They were out of contract.
Yeah.
So they technically are free. They could be classed as a free agent or a free transfer, depending which way you look at it.
Yeah, because their contract is expired.
You know, getting a player that's on on contract on a free transfer is very rare.
Yeah,
because clubs are not going to give those things away for nothing. You might get it in the lower leagues, but you won't get it too much in the Premier League. You know.
No.
So,
look for me, guys. I'm going to do a short poll between the four of us. I think Paratici is a don. And I think he's now spinning all the plates around in his Italian apartment somewhere in London and Milan. And he's spinning them all around. And he's saying, right, I'm going for that player, that player, that player. Conte's in the back, doing this right, thinking, lovely jubbly. Give me a few more players there, Parry. Right. So for me, he's a don. Parry. Do you like that, Parry? He's a don to me. Ellie, a don, Paratici, yes or no?
Yes, I agree with you, because first and foremost, he's got rid of all the dead wood on loan. A lot of them he's like Delhi's got rid of, you know. So I commend him for that, because you have to have a clear out to have a build, you know. And he's got rid of some daft players who weren't even pulling their weight. They're talented boys, some of them. You can't say Delhi's not talented, because he is. He just hasn't got the application anymore.
No.
It's not worth having all that talent, like you said earlier, Dermot, you know, if you're not applying it. I think Mia said it as well. So if Mia, you know, you make some very, very good points, I must admit. And I think Paratici would love you as his sidekick. You'd be fantastic at it.
Philip, sorry, Mia.
I would love to be his sidekick.
He's not
Philip,
a bad looking bloke for his age either. Here we go.
Is
Paratici a don? Yes or no?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, of course he is. I mean, look back to last January. We were talking about the success of the January window last year. 3 weeks or 4 weeks after Bentancur and Kulusevski came in, a lot of our fans were classing them as Juventus rejects.
Yeah.
Don't hear much of that being said now.
Shut up, didn't they?
That's true.
They soon shut up.
Yeah. Mia, is Paratici a don? Yes or no? Before we move on.
Definitely. And I'm going to be sidekick, like Ellie said. I'd love to be sidekick. Can you imagine? I'd kick ass. Me in negotiations as well. I'd be a great negotiator.
You scare me. I'd sign any contract me or you put in front of me. You're scared the feckin' living daylights out of me. You would. And I mean that in a lovely, polite way, not a nasty way, me. You know that. Guys, another yes or no question before we move on. And I'll start with Philip first. Out of 1 to 100, Philip, how excited would you be if we signed Toure?
Can I go to 0 on that?
Yeah, you can.
No,
you can go minus if you want.
I just did. No.
Ellie, minus
You know
1 to 100.
I'm going to be controversial here, and I'm going to go with my good friend Jacob of United Spurs of America and go 100 all the way, because I actually like Traore. He's got a lot of beef. He'll be
look, Mia, look, Ellie, we're not getting on how they look at. We're talking about on the pitch, love.
Yeah, right? on the pitch. Obviously, he doesn't always do the right ball.
No.
But when he gets it right, it can really be good. But he doesn't get it right enough. So even though I gave him 100, I'm going to take 50 away and go 50-50. There you go, Jacob.
Mia, out of 1 and 100, Toure, how excited are you?
minus 100. He's all beef and no product. Like that's what he
I
is.
thought Mia had passed.
He's
that
like
there for a
vegan
minute.
mince. He's beef. He's like a vegan mince. He's beef.
Yeah.
He looks like beef. It might taste like beef, but he's got no end product. It's not really meat, is it? Let's be honest.
No.
And John Fitzpatrick says 0. I go for minus 100 myself, but there you go.
I don't think
So-
Jacob is going to be watching much of this stream after this.
No, right. Well, we've done with. Look, one more question on Levy before we move on, guys. And look, we are going to go on for another 10-15 minutes, if that's okay with you three.
Yeah, of course it is.
Look,
anything better to do than talk about Spurs, isn't it?
Yeah, look, we
do.
all know Daniel Levy, right, has got a lot of crap. And this then comes on, Philip, to the Supporters Trust.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to read out what you got now, we'll put this up on the screen. I've put it on the
Yeah,
PDF
I'll read it
now.
out,
I
yeah.
know it's going to be hard for some people to read it, so I hope you can, but I have put it up there. So you sort of can follow along what Philip, but there is 4 questions he asked now, and I'm going to ask the panel these 4 questions, and I'm going to get their thoughts, and we'd love your thoughts in the comments as well. So Philip, do you want to read what it says at the start
I'll
before
read
we
the
get
letter,
to the
yeah.
questions?
This is a letter dated today from the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust to the Tottenham Hotspur FC Board. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust Board has written to the club to highlight growing concerns among our fan base in a number of key areas. The letter can be read in full below. Dear Daniel, Donna, and the THFC Board, we are writing to you in the light of growing supporter concern about the situation at Spurs. There are many concerns around the direction of the club, on-field results. Hang on, this is the way it's coming through to me here. On-field results. Sorry. And performance, the current managerial situation, investment and transfer strategy. This is exacerbated by a lack of communication with supporters. These questions reflect an opportunity to engage positively with the concerns of Spurs fans and provide open and constructive answers to their questions. 1. Will the club share its medium and long-term strategy for success, both on and off the pitch? How is the club measuring progress, and how does it judge current outcomes against these measurements? 2.
I mean, hang on, Philip. We'll discuss them one by one, sort of thing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll start with you, then I go to you, Ellie, and then I go to you, Mia. Then the second one, I'll start with Ellie, Mia, then you, Philip, last sort of thing, and then I'll give my opinion after all of you. So, Ellie, I mean, Philip, do you know, will the club share its medium and long-term strategy for success, both on and on the pitch with the fans? Do you think there needs to be a fans meeting between the board and the supporters? That if we knew what was going on, do you think there'd be less unrest in the fan base than what there is?
No, because I tell you, the supporters trust is a representation of the fan base.
Mm.
Because you're never ever going to get a meeting with Daniel Levy and 55,000 Spurs fans.
No,
You're
but
getting a meeting with Daniel Levy and 5 or 6 selected
Mm.
representatives of those fans, and it's
Mm.
up to them to pass on the information back to the fans.
Mm.
That's the only way it's going to work. Other than that, it would turn into a rabble. Can you just imagine? After seeing some of the comments that have been on here in the last few weeks, what a meeting with Daniel Levy with selected members of the Spurs fan base would be, other than the supporters trust. It would turn into a riot after about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
This is the only way to do it. It'll be done civilly this way. We might not get the answers, but at least it'll be done in a way where nobody offends each other too much.
Yeah. Ellie, and the second part of this question is, how is the club measuring progress, and how does it judge the current outcomes against those managements? Ellie, how is the club measuring progress, and how does it judge current outcomes against those managements?
Do you know what? I think they want to be successful, but they sometimes don't put the right cogs in place at the right time when they can strike while the iron's hot. Now, like, for example, we've got Conte now. He's a proven winner. We've got to give him the tools, and we've got to give him quicker than we have been, you know. And this January window is an eye opener, because a lot of people are saying that he's not going to be backed. A lot of fans, it's not just a little bit of fans, they're very disgruntled because they think he's not going to get what he wants, right? And I just feel like we need to strategize how we're going to go as a club, because we haven't won a trophy for 15 years. That is tragic for Spurs. I know we've been other times when we haven't won a trophy for longer periods, but this is a team that Conte can build, and he's got rid of most of the dead wood. There's still a little stragglers. There's about 4 or 5 more to get rid of, and he can start building. So I want to see continuity from the board as well, and some transparency. You know, let the fans know what your plans are. You know, it's not all about building a cinema or building houses around Spurs brand to make the area look pretty. We want pretty football, and we want pretty football that wins trophies.
Yeah. That's a good point, Ellie. Very good point. Ellie, Mia, we're starting the question 2 here. Philip, do you want to read it out? And I can read them out, Philip. I actually start with you, and then I go to you, Mia. Philip, the manager employed by the club has not signed a new contract and tells us that we should lower our expectations about on-field outcomes. He has said publicly that the club needs to spend big money every window just to compete. I mean, how does this align with the board's philosophy for achieving success? And I'll start with you, Philip, and then I go to you, Mia, and then Ellie, I let you finish off that, and then I'll have my say.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Conte is saying that we need to spend big bucks, which, is fairly true. I mean, you have to do that. Whether it fits in with the club's philosophy, past seasons would say, no, it doesn't. So we've got a bit of an open conflict here. Is this Conte making his play? To say, I want the money I was promised, but it looks like I'm not going to get it. I don't know. It's a very cryptically worded question now. I would say that Levy is probably not too pleased with Conte for coming out with that comment, because it's kind of undermining things a little bit at the top level. But it is putting the ball back in Levy's court that he has to answer the question. So from that point of view, we may get a bit of clarity here.
Mia?
Yeah, obviously, I think what Conte was trying to say probably is that because other clubs have got the money from places like obviously states, and they've got big money to compete, it's understandable that he will say we need to spend big money, right? That's pretty obvious. But obviously, the way that the board work is they might see them things differently. However, Conte also said he was happy with the project when he come in. He said he's happy and he's seen what the project sort of was. So I think that he understands that big money isn't necessarily there, because he did say that. Like people just people read comments that they want to read instead of actually looking at the whole body of what he actually says. So I think that he understands that. Obviously, the money isn't going to be like a Man City, because it's impossible to compete with a Man City's money. They've got players, backups that are brilliant, So I do think that realistic expectations need to be set. And also with the board, how many boards answer these kind of questions? Like, the fact is that many boards of many clubs are more closed in and they don't give out all this information. Like, they just don't. It's just like it feels like this is a bit of like a publicity stunt by the trusts, because I think they know they're not going to get the answers. They know they're not going to do it. They know that Levy's not going to do a meeting, let's be honest.
Do you agree with Mia there, Ellie? Do you think it is a bit of a stunt by the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust?
Possibly, yeah, because they've got a reputation for doing that as well in the past. So I just feel like...
Just give me 1 minute, guys. Sorry, I'll be back in 1 minute. Sorry, go on.
That's fine. I just feel like they need to really address the Conte issue and make him a happy man, because if he's already said he's happy, he's already said that he's this and that, but do we believe him? do we believe him when he comes out with statements that we should lower our expectations? And remember, English is not his first language. He says sometimes he's lost in translation, which is true, because when he says things, you don't know really. You have to look deeply into what he's saying because he's not putting the right words in English. So I don't think he wants to lower. He's not a manager who wants to lower his expectations. Come on.
I don't think he wants to lower his expectations, Ellie, but I think he understands what the project is, because even he said, I've made myself very clear, maybe I need to learn new English, because he keeps going over the same thing again and again. So he said he saw that contract, he signed that contract, and he wouldn't have signed that contract in the first place if he wasn't happy with the project. It's true. But he's saying, I keep saying the same thing, but you're not understanding me, because everyone's trying to twist these words. That's what people are doing. They're twisting it.
The media does. The media are very great at twisting people's words. And also, because Conte, his language is not English, so he does get twisted a lot. And they make out that he's not happy at Spurs. They're trying to rock the boat, the media, with that. They're
it's not just
and
it's not just that, Ellie. It's all sorry, Philip. It's not just that. It's also fans who crop bits of his quotes and they pick and choose what part of quotes, and then they put it over social media, and then that makes it even worse.
It comes out like
problem
50 times worse than he said it. Do you know what? Conte's his own man, right? He's not going to put up with people that don't give him what he wants. So he's actually doing a subliminal message sometimes. Like, he does it on the pitch as well. Like, he'll drop Højbjerg or he'll drop Dyer and he'll drop Thfc, and he makes these statements to the board that we need strengthening. Like he'll show the board that he's not going to play Jed Spence, for example, right? And because it's their signing. Right, he's his own man. He knows what he's doing. He's making sure that this board realise that what he's got at the moment, he's not going to win anything with it. He knows this. Conte knows this because he's slowly putting in little cogs like Kulusevski, Bentancur, Papa Sarr, Brian Hill. All these players. We're told that he doesn't even like Brian Hill or Pape Sarr, that he's never going to play them. And look what he's doing now. All right, we've got injuries that may have dictated it, but he's still playing them for their second game. He's not dropping them to the bench. So I just feel like, it's half one of what they call it, half a dozen of one, half a dozen of another, With Conte, I love him. I think he's fantastic.
Can I
just
address something that David? Sorry.
What David Clark said?
Mia. Yeah, sorry. Can I just because what he said was this one. So I'll put it up. He said this week. He said, "Oh, God, why can't I put it up?" Then this week, Conte said the club's ambitions are different, and it could mean that he stays or goes. That's not what he said. He basically said that if I wanted, I could walk if I wasn't happy. I would walk if I wasn't happy, which we all know that anyway. He didn't say he'll stay or go. That's again misstating what he said. You're misstating quotes. Get me the exact quote, because that's not what he said, David. So please don't misrepresent what people are saying, because that's wrong, and it spreads things to fans that aren't true. That's the problem. Well, we're spreading misinformation to people, and then someone else passes it on.
I've got the quote here, exactly what he said, and I will bring that up in a minute. But look, I don't know how far you've gotten these. Sorry, I had to shoot for 2 minutes.
I make a point there about that comment about managing our expectations. My reading on that is he knows he's not going to build a title-winning team in 1 or 2 seasons. We have to manage your expectations. It's been done generically. It's been done slowly, but it will, if he has his way, be done. It'll just take a bit longer, and he's asking for patience.
Yeah, and Klopp took 3 years. to build
Look,
these projects.
My opinion on all of this, right? I think for myself, I think it's a bit of a stunt by the Supporters Trust, because whenever we've needed to support a trust to do anything in the past, they haven't done it. They haven't publicly said these questions to the board. But look, for me, they're right to put these questions, but they should have done it as well. They should have done it time and time again. Why is it now they're putting these questions to the board? The last time we heard from the board, I don't know, guys, if I'm right on this, I could be wrong, was when the Super League, and it took them 2 or 3 days to come out with a statement against the Super League. So, I don't know why, but I want to bring up this comment here to David Clark. Now, this is the exact quote from Conte, what he said in the press conference the other day. And I'll read this out now, word for word. This is what he quoted. Me and Philip went through this with the pre-match show, didn't we, Philip, the other night for the Palace game. And he says, I am happy, but I always say to you, I am happy. I want to stay here. I am enjoying my time in Tottenham. I am enjoying my work in Tottenham. I always say this, I'm happy, but it doesn't mean I cannot tell you what we are doing. We are trying to create a base foundation. Maybe from the start of my experience here, I'm repeating always the same thing. It is difficult for me every day to repeat the same thing for you not to understand. It is difficult. I am happy to stay here because I'm at a modern club. I have a good relationship with the players. I have a good relationship with the club. Sometimes I go home and think I have to study much more English because I am not good to transfer my thoughts to you because I'm not good. This is a problem between me and the club. Now I am really committed to this club and for Tottenham. There is this project. I signed a contract with this club to accept this project and try to build and help the club. During this process, it can happen 1,000 things. The club can sack the manager, or there are different visions or different situations. So that's exactly what he said in the press conference. And no point there. And I will no point there and any there. I mean, Mia, that's what he said, Mia, and I think that's what you were trying to say, wasn't it? This is exactly the point. This is the exact quote from his press conference.
Yeah, no, that's
Mia.
exactly what I was trying.
I mean, every fan
That's
guy,
exactly what I was trying to say. So I don't like.
Look, every fan, guys, are going to have different opinions about what Conte says. They're going to look at his body language. They're going to look at how he's saying. I mean, I'll start with you, Ellie, and I'll go to you, Mia, then you, Philip. Well, I'll start with Mia. Sorry. Mia, fans will look at Conte's body language. They will try to look at what he's saying and try to read into things. Is that just being a football fan? Are we trying to look into something that probably isn't there?
Yeah, I'm sure that we are. I'm sure that everybody does it in some. No, we all want to try and read between the lines. We all want to try and think that we know something different to somebody else, and we think we know more, like not more, but we can read it better. We can read Conte better, but I don't think that's the case. I think that it's very difficult to try and keep reading between the lines when he's making it very clear, I am happy, but I always say that I'm happy. So he's basically saying, listen, guys, I'm always saying I'm happy, but and like I keep saying it. So what do you want me to say? I keep saying I'm happy. So that to me is the words that he's saying. Like he's not saying, because when he throws a tantrum, we know he will throw a tantrum and he'll make himself very clear. Conte's not one to mince words. Let's not get it. He has never ever minced these words, and any time he's managed, has he ever done that? No. So I believe him when he says words. I believe those words, but he's never done that. He's never shied away from telling the truth. So if he says I am happy, then to me saying I am happy, and he's saying I need to learn more English because I keep saying the same thing and you're clearly not getting it. That's what that says to me.
Yeah, Ellie, look, same question to you, honey, and then we'll move on to the final part of the program, final part of the show. Yeah. Ellie, look, you are the queen, Ellie Højbjerg. You are the queen of the Spurs community. And as well as the Godfather, we do listen to your wisdom and to your knowledge. Look, we've seen a lot of Tottenham over the years. All of us have, but you, me, and Philip have seen it. We can remember the 80s. We can remember Keith Birkinshaw. We can remember the glory years. Look, Keith Birkinshaw once said there used to be a football club over there. Rightly or wrongly, Conte is our best manager we've had since Keith Birkinshaw.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look at his body language? And for me personally, I think he does want to stay. I don't think I think he wants to sign his new contract. I think he's just waiting to see how he gets back this January. Myself, that's personally. You may find on the 1st of February, Tottenham are happy to announce Conte has signed a new 2-year contract. Do you think Conte will be here this time next season?
Definitely, because everything that he says is geared to, I want to build a project. I feel part of this family. I love it at Spurs. What more can the man say that he wants to be at our club? We are a very glorious club. You know, we've got a fantastic history. And why wouldn't you want to be at Spurs? Come on. We've got fantastic supporters. All right, some of them have got a bit stroppy in the last whatever years because we haven't been successful. But once we win that first cup, you know, and we will win it under him, I'm 100% sure we're going to win a cup under Conte. All right, I just hope the club stand with him because he's made the commitment. Now, let's see where Levy stands as well, because I don't want him to think, you know, we've got to move him on because the fans are unhappy with the style of football. But he's building a project. He's not going to stick with this type of football because he's going to stick with the formation. Don't get me wrong, but he'll have better players playing in that formation who can deliver what his ethos of football and how he likes to play. Because when he was at Inter, they played some marvellous football, you know, and all round his career as a manager, you know, the first year at Chelsea, he finished 10th. The next season, he delivered the title. There you go. That's the proof of the pudding.
Last question, guys, before we end up. Philip, transfer window, what are you hoping for? And will Conte be here next season, yes or no?
Conte will be here if Daniel Levy keeps his promises to him. And I think so, you know, they can spar around the ring with each other, but someone is going to have to make a move soon. Say, right, lads, Conte needs to say to Levy, are you going to give me what I want? And if you do, I'll sign my new contract. Right? Now, if Levy says yes and then doesn't give him what he wants, and Conte signs his new contract, then that's putting us in a tremendously difficult position. So I think there's got to be a good faith on both sides here. Conte needs Levy. Sorry, Levy needs Conte. More than Conte needs Levy. You know what I mean? So I think the move is Levy's going to have to put his hand up and say, I'm going to back you, Daniel. If that's the case, we're okay. Hopefully. As for the transfer window, centre back, a right wing back, and just another one we seem to be forgetting about. Don't forget that next July we'll be getting in Destiny Udogie as our right wing back.
I haven't forgotten.
You know, so that's something to worry. So maybe the right wing back may be put in abeyance. Let's face it, we've got Jed Spence, we've got Nat Doherty, we've got Emerson Royale, we've got enough. We mightn't have the quality, but we've got the quantity, and if we can keep that going until the end of the summer, then we've got a good guy coming in. Centre back has to be. Whatever they do, get a centre back. And also, I would go for some form of an attacking midfielder, probably Frank Kessie from Inter Milan. And if I got that, I'd be quite happy. Happy. There's no doubt there will be fans out there that if we brought 5 players in, they wouldn't be happy. And we get no players in, and none of us are going to be happy.
No. Well, look, before we end off, guys, look, I want to thank you all. Look, we've been going for nearly an hour and 50 minutes, and really thank you for everyone who's tuned in, watch. It's really, you what, Philip?
No.
I said I enjoyed every minute.
Yeah. Look, the poll now, I'm going to close in the poll now. The poll is ended, so I will get the results now. I said, how many players will we buy this season? 1 to 2, 50%. 0 to 1, 22%, no 1, 15%, 2 to 3, 12%. And that was a 40 votes poll. And also, I did a poll yesterday on Twitter. Now, this one will Conte be here next season? I think you remember me putting it up, Philip. And will Conte sign a new contract and stay at Spurs? Now, this was 35 votes over a 24-hour period. 85.7% say no. 14.3% said yes. Conte will sign a new contract. Look, finally on me, I think we'll get 2 players in this season, this window. I think we'll get a centre back, and I think we will get a right wing back. Apparently, we're in for a double soup for the Inter Milan players, Thfc, and I think I can't remember them. Thfc, and who's the right wing back?
Dumfries.
Dumfries, that's it. Yeah, Dumfries as well. Look, I think we'll get them in. Look, as long as Conte is there, we will win stuff. Ellie is right. Philip's right. Mia's right. I'm confident we'll win the FA Cup this year. And they've got Portsmouth on Saturday. So. Me and Philip are big people on. We played Portsmouth the last time we won the FA Cup. We're due to win one. It's the year where we'll win the FA Cup, and we can sing Spurs are on the way to Wembley again. Ellie will sing that live on air if we get to Wembley. But I want to thank Queen Ellie. I want to thank Philip the Godfather, who will be doing hopefully another one of his Godfather talks in the morning, and that will be put up tomorrow. And Mia as well. Mia, do you want to quickly give your show a plug? And Ellie as well. Do you want to give I'll let Mia go first, then you can plug your lady show. So Mia, do you want to give Spurs Between the Lines a plug?
Yes, if people didn't mind going over to Spurs Between the Lines, you can find me there with a very straight talking person, as you can tell. So everyone give it a little subscribe, as I'm on 72, so I'm 8 away from 80. 100, I'm going to do my first live. So if everyone pushes me up to that 100 quick, you'll get to see me live on my own show. So, and I might have a special guest as well. See who I can get on with me.
Can you repeat your show, Mia? Because it broke up as you said your show.
Oh, no worries. Spurs Between the Lines.
Yes,
is where you can find me.
So everyone, get over there. Get Mia up to 80. We can do it. We can help. We'll help to the 60. Let's help to 80. And Ellie, we've got the lady show back on Monday.
Yes,
what have we got on that on Monday?
We've got some transfer news. We've got some news about the team. We've got news about where we're going as a club. Also, we're going to cover a few transfers as well. You know, because I want to make it into a proper ladies show. Like cover the Spurs ladies. Obviously, that's our first and foremost priority. But we want to cover the other leagues as well. With the World Cup coming up as well very soon, it's nice to touch on who's going to be the star players. You know, pick out all the star players from each country. Maybe a couple from each country. That'll be a very good show as well. So that's one that's in the pipeline. Because the World Cup for the ladies starts in May, so it's not too far off. Yeah, so I'm very excited with Mia as my co-host. We're going to rock it and shock you with all the news. Because at the end of the day, ladies football is important, and that showed in the Euros.
Yeah,
and good luck to the Irish as well.
Yeah, well, of course we're going to beat you, Ellie. There's no problem. I'm going to win the World Cup. There you go. Well, listen, Ellie's show is on Monday for 1 week only, then it's back on the Tuesday. We're back tomorrow at 12:30 with Transfer News Beat. Then we're back tomorrow night with the Fan Zone. And then we're back Saturday with a watch along, Sunday with the post-match Portsmouth game. And then we're having Monday, Ellie will be on Monday. And then we're off on Tuesday, but we're back Wednesday with the build-up to the North London derby. And I think Thursday we're going to have a debate show with an Arsenal fan, with Dino. The Arsenal fan is going to come back onto the channel again, and we're going to have a bit of a debate between Tottenham and Arsenal. I'm going to be refereeing. We're going to try to get another Arsenal fan. I will between Ellie and Philip and 2 Arsenal fans, and I will be refereeing. So that should be very, very interesting and tasty indeed. So we'll see who else we can get on with, Dino. But listen, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit the subscription button. We will see you tomorrow. And there is a thing now on YouTube where you can do a thank you at the end. So if you have enjoyed it, any part of the show, you can do a little thank you. That would be appreciated because it does help us grow the channel. Again, thank you to Nick Coupland for being the channel sponsor, the driving force behind Thfc Till I Die. We're now going to sign out. We've got a little treat down memory lane for me and Philip anyway, at least.
Yeah.
And if any Irish fans going, we may get copyrighted, we may not, but we just wanted to do a bit of down memory lane in memory of Jack Charlton, who probably was our greatest ever manager. But anyway, for the girls in green coming up with the World Cup, come on, girls, we can do it. And also in Conte we trust. Come on, you Spurs. Oh, sorry. That didn't mean... Oh, do you know what? I give up. Good night.